Be one of those ones, call my bosses at corporate and be like, hey, I'm kind of stuck here at work, so y'all just gonna have to do it paying me overtime.
Yeah.
Welcome to Bar City, episode 17. I'm Eric.
Kevin. I love how there's always a delay, like when I announce myself. It's like I don't know how, I like suddenly forget how to say my name or something. Like, what's my line? Like, oh yeah, I'm Kevin. That's right.
Yeah, you get the simplest line. You just say,
I have
I'm
like
Captain.
I have like one of the most like common, well-known names, and I can't even say it for some reason.
I'm over here having to check, make sure I'm saying the right episode number, and
Yeah. Well, what is this? 17, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep, because we talked all about the Wizard of Oz in number 16.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially toward the very end, that took up like almost the second half of the episode. So.
Started talking about the book. There's too many freaking books.
Yeah, well, I love it that like I just kind of brought it up. Like, well, I mean, I guess that's how conversations work, but
Yeah.
I just kind of randomly threw it in there because we were talking about something completely different, and I was just like, yeah, that kind of reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. And then we just went on for like the rest of the podcast about Wizard of Oz. I was just like, wow.
Hey, sometimes it be that way. Sometimes it's how it works,
Yeah,
Definitely figure out a new conversation. Just one person mentions one word, and you just take it from there.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh man. Oh crap.
You good?
Yeah, I'm just pulled a hair out by accident.
Uh, Dude, I couldn't move my right arm very much yesterday. Like right under my shoulder blade was killing me.
You gotta stop doing that stuff so much.
Ugh. The day is just tight.
Yeah. I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning because I was hot. I already told you that part. But uh, and then I was up for like 2 hours and went back to bed. And then I woke up again for like an hour and went back to bed. And then yeah, that's my sleep schedule on the weekend for you. It don't make no dang sense.
I woke up once, went to the restroom, went back to sleep. I actually stayed pretty well asleep last night for once. It was weird.
I wish I could stay asleep for a full night on a weekend, but I guess my problem is it's just so opposite from my weekday sleep schedule because I usually go to bed in the early morning. So, and then I wake up in like usually right around noon is when I wake up on weekdays, but it can vary. Sometimes I wake up later, sometimes I wake up a little earlier. But yeah, it's just so opposite on weekends because I'm like trying to go to bed at night and I'm like,
Yeah, well, I stayed up until almost 1 o'clock in the morning the past two nights, just trying to enjoy my weekend, and then I woke up closer to 9 o'clock for once. I'm like, yes.
yeah. I always tell myself that on weekends, I was like, I should just stay up until early morning and go to bed at my time that I normally do. But I always feel so tired, like when it hits like, I don't know, like 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I start to get like, I just can't take it anymore. And since I have access to my bed, I want to go lay down and go to sleep. So my willpower kind of, weakens and I give in to, me wanting to go to sleep.
Whereas work, of course, you don't have access to your bed
Yeah.
at work.
When I'm at work, yeah, I can't do that. Even if I was going to, I wouldn't be able to sleep long because I can't get comfortable enough in a chair to sleep for like longer than maybe 5 minutes. So
Sometimes those 5 minute, little 5 minute naps is all you need some days.
yeah, that's true.
I wish I had slow enough time to take a 5 minute nap at work. Because and the funny thing is, when I say like, I'll have like an hour to 2 hours sometimes randomly where there's no one coming in. But I'm so like, even if I have to go to the bathroom or I'm wanting to eat something or snack on some of my snacks I bring, I'm like so cautious because I'm like, as soon as I do something like this, I guarantee it's going to start up again.
Yeah.
So I bide my time and bide my time. And I'm like, okay, it's been so long. I'll go ahead and attempt it and guarantee it. By then, it happens like I should have just already went because there was no one, but I was just so, I'm so
Yeah, and you know,
paranoid.
if you would have done it right away, what would have happened? They would have shown up right away. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I know it's not how it works, but
It definitely feels that way, yeah. So,
yeah,
I know
they
what you
just
mean.
don't show up. It just happens to be a lot of times when you're trying to either eat or go to the bathroom or.
Yeah. I remember one day at work, I was sitting there. It had been like probably a good 2 hours, and not one truck had shown up and or left or anything. And I was like, well, I'm kind of getting a little hungry. I think I'll make my popcorn. So I went and got my popcorn maker and everything and started. And as soon as I got that thing plugged in and set the bowl down, like I just like got bombarded with like tons of. I was like, what the heck is this all about?
Yeah, it's a funny thing.
Yeah, it would have been okay if it was just like one or two, like, oh yeah, I'll get them checked in real quick and I'll get back to doing my thing. But it was just like one after another, after another, after another. I was like, what the heck?
I've left my hot pockets in the microwave for almost 3 hours one time because I was like, okay, it's about 11:50 ish, almost noon. I'll go ahead and start heat my hot pockets up, maybe And then I just kept getting bombarded with truck after truck after truck, and people kept calling me, and I'm like, I'm never gonna get to fucking eat. Like, I'm kind of getting hungry here. What it is, what it is, I guess.
Pretty much.
Kind of sucks not being able to get a 30-minute break. Is those 30 minutes just to sit and chill and eat when you're at a normal job that has breaks. It's kind of just it's nice. It helps you decompress and get ready for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm the type of person I always like taking my breaks later in the day,
Oh yeah.
later in my shift, because I hate it just makes the last half drag on more if I take an early break. It's
Yeah,
always
I
felt
guess
that
that
way.
makes sense. Yeah.
But having that break later on, when after you do all the rushes and you've been busting your ass off, and you're tired or you're more tired, you get that 30-minute break, and you just sit there and you just relax for 30 minutes, and you're re-energized for the next 3-4 hours. The last bit of your shift, and you just pump through it.
Yeah. Yeah, that
That's how
makes
I.
sense. I have I guess it's just a me issue, but I don't know what it is about getting lunch breaks, but for me it makes it feel like the day goes by longer or drags on longer. So there's definitely pros and cons to it. There are days when I'm at work where I wish I had could clock out for a lunch break and like actually, take a break. And but there's also days I'm thankful that I don't have that because, like I said, I think of all my other jobs that had that, and it always just made the day feel like it dragged on longer for me. So,
Well, it did that for me with Walmart because Walmart's an hour break. So you're there, you work 8 hours, but you're there 9 hours
right,
because you get an hour lunch off the
yeah,
clock. Which I'm like, man, I would rather with jobs that you don't have to clock out for lunch. You just walk out, you take a 30 minutes and you come back. Makes it feel a lot better to me because, for one, it doesn't increase your day.
yeah,
Now, for two, you get that little breather, okay, I've been busting my ass off for about 5 hours. I got three left. Take me a quick 30 minutes, gives me 2.5 hours left, and I'm good to go. I'm ready. Done with the rest of my day. Boom.
I had the weirdest break system I've ever had for a job was when I worked for a plant years ago. Um, we had two instead of them giving us 1 hour break in the middle of the day, they gave us two 30-minute breaks, and they split them up. We worked on the line for like 2 hours or something like that, and then we took a 30-minute, and then came back and worked another 2 hours, and then took a 30-minute, and then finished like our last 4 hours or whatever it was. So depending on how much.
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, I did. To me, that really made the day draggy, especially once I got used to the job. It wasn't as bad when I first started working the job because I was like, it was cool. But later on, they did switch it over to an hour. I'm not sure why they went that way. If they thought it would be more productive that way, or if they, uh, I don't know, maybe people complained or something. I don't know.
Like, if it's an hour of paid, I'm good with it. It's got to be. I hate jobs where I have to clock out for breaks
Yeah. Because
because
you can't go too far because depending on how close you live to your job, so you're still kind of stuck there, but you're not. Yeah, so it's like kind of like you're at work for an extra hour almost. So
that's what a lot of jobs that have you clock out for an hour lunch do. They schedule you for an hour extra because one of those hours you're not getting paid and you're just off for lunch.
right,
So you're actually at your job site for 9 hours instead of 8.
yeah.
But when you have the ones that are paid, breaks like 30 minutes,
Excuse me.
they a lot of times don't extend it because if they extend it, they're paying you for 9 hours instead of 8 hours.
Yeah,
So they give you an hour paid break, or 30 minutes to an hour paid break. So you're still there only 8 hours, but for 30 minutes to an hour of it, you're getting to chill.
yeah. I have had jobs where they only gave me a 30-minute break that I just got paid for, which there's pros and cons to that for me as well. The thing I didn't like about the 30 minutes is if I forgot to bring like something to eat or something, then like normally on days like that, I would go get fast food or whatever. But when I only have 30 minutes, that's not really enough time to run and go get something and then come right back because I've used most of my break just getting the food. So,
Well, that's why I've always done the thing of when I worked at a factory, I always had money in my wallet for days that I didn't have an extra like lunch to bring or something.
yeah.
I would figure out what I liked most out of the vending machines, multiple different things, and added up all their price. That way, of course, if one of the things I was eating is gone, I can just go to another one.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I did is I just ate out of the vending machine. If they wouldn't have had those or would have had a low selection, then yeah, I would have been like even more like kind of crappy of a situation in my opinion. So, but it depends on the person. So,
One of the last factories I worked at, I worked inside a factory instead of just being security for them. They had, fridges in the break room. So I just, had a big ass lunchbox. Well, it wasn't a big ass lunchbox, but it was a one that had my name and everything on it. And that's fun to deal with when people want to fuck with your shit, though, sometimes.
yeah.
Always put your name on your containers. That way, if somebody does eat it, you can take them to HR over it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my uh, downsides of me is I when it comes to bringing my lunch, I have very poor discipline with that. So I'm really bad about consistently. Like I can go like a few days of bringing it, but then I won't be consistent with it. I won't continue to bring my lunch every day. So and that's why I bump it. It's nice to have, for me, it was always nice to have the hour to just like in case, I didn't get a chance to bring a lunch or was just too lazy or whatever, then I at least had the option to go get something. So
I probably shouldn't say this in the podcast, but with two of my jobs, especially being the job now, and one of them was still a security job. So when the first time I worked for Walmart before I was maintenance, and part of the maintenance job is keeping the facility clean and cleaning the bathrooms every couple hours.
yeah.
I figured out the two bathrooms that we had in the men's room. I guess because guys were roughhousing or whatever, and kind of weakened the those things on the wall that have like sometimes they have diapers, condoms, or whatever.
Oh yeah, the dispensers or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I figured out that ours were pretty much broken. So if you apply the right pressure with the right tool, which we had because it was part of what we used to fix things, you could pop it open and just take the change tray out yourself, and I would steal the quarters out of it.
Oh, dang.
So I would do it like every few days to keep myself from getting caught. And I wouldn't steal the whole thing, but I'd take like $3, $4, and that's what I'd eat my lunch off.
Wow.
And years later, when I became a security guard for the first time, I discovered it because there was an ice storm and I was trapped at the site for 2 days.
Yeah.
And there's one break room that had no cameras in it. This whole building over here didn't have cameras in it because the building was on our property, but it was a group of people that were contracted with our company use that building. And they didn't want cameras because it was the way the techniques they used to wrap the trailers with like Tyson has their pictures and stuff on the side of it.
Yeah.
It was that. And they didn't want people knowing their techniques. And so I had no cameras, but turns out, I don't know if somebody had already done it, who done it or whatever, but their change machine area, which was the gold dollars, I noticed it was slightly broken, and I remembered what I used to do at Walmart, so I was able to break it in and steal gold dollars.
Oh, wow.
And that's because I got desperate because I was hungry. I've been at work for a day and a half at this point almost, because no one could get to work. The gates were frozen shut. And my boss was like, man, I can figure out how to get there. I was like, I can just, pull into the front parking lot and you can walk around and we can unlock the front doors and you can lock it back and come around. I'm like, well, I wanted my vehicle stuck behind the gate. I was like, how can I get out? He's like, well, you can just take my car. I'm like, no, I'm not going to take your car. I'm not going to do that. Just something might happen and you might need to get the hell out of there or something. And so I opted to stay, and I found out about that. I was like, hell yeah.
I could not imagine being stuck at work for 2 days. That would be crazy.
It was crazy, dude. But it's the only time I ever slept at work.
Well, yeah. Well, in that situation, I don't think anybody can blame you.
Because, I had my jacket on. I took a bunch of the safety vests, piled them up on the floor, took a couple, made them in a ball, and used those as a pillow.
Yeah.
And slept on a concrete floor. It wasn't comfortable. Hey, that's why for the longest time after that, I would keep pillows and blankets in my vehicle once the winter started.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
But here, it hasn't been bad enough yet to really get me back into that mode.
Yeah.
Which don't look, it's going to get bad enough that I'm going to need it, and I'm not going to have it.
It's like, dang it, I should have put them in there. Yeah.
But there's like 3 jackets in the guard shack, one being mine, the other, and you got all those safety vests. So I'll just make a fake bed again.
Those jackets are pretty thick. They probably would make a decent pallet to lay on.
Yeah. I'd probably use the safety vest as the pallet because we have the ones that aren't unwrapped, so I can use those as the base.
Yeah.
I'd use the jackets as a blanket.
I wouldn't want the jackets to blanket. They'd be too hot.
Well, if it's a frozen winter storm and that guard shack will get freezing.
Not with the space heater on.
Yeah, it's if we still have power.
Well, we got the generator.
You do?
Yeah, we have a generator.
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. They were using the generator a couple years ago. Yeah, that's right. But who can fuel the generator if no one can get in?
Well, I mean, if the generator runs out of fuel, then you're screwed. But until that point, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, until that point, I'm good. I'll just use the space heater to keep myself warm. But yeah, it does suck getting trapped at work.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's any other times I've ever been trapped at work besides that.
I've only been stuck at work for a few extra hours before because one of the other security guards was late. I can't remember who it was, but anyway, yeah, one of them was late, and it was the first time that ever happened to me, and I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I kept thinking, I'm an overthinker. I kept thinking, I'm like, did did the supervisor ask me to stay late and I just forgot? And I'm like, and I started thinking, running through all these different questions in my head. And I was like, I don't recall him. I'm like, he didn't send me a text or anything. And he usually sends me a text. I was like, I don't remember him saying anything verbally. And then finally, when it hit like, I think it was past the 3 hour mark or something like that, I finally called the supervisor and he was like, you should have called me like forever ago. And I was like, well, I didn't know what was happening. But yeah, I just got stuck. So it's just a few hours, which it sucked, but I mean, it's not no 2 days, I couldn't imagine being there that long.
I was stuck at Walmart like an extra 6-7 hours one time because of a tornado. But
Yeah. I mean, I guess I've worked later at a plant I worked at, but that's because we had extra work to do. Like we had rework we had to do that took like an extra 5-6 hours or something. It was crazy. And I literally, and that went on for like, there was one time we had so much rework, we kept doing it every day, like all that week. And like, I was literally like going into the plant during sun up and then wasn't coming out of the plant until like sundown. I was like, gee, but that was because of a work situation, not because I like got stuck there necessarily. I mean, I could have like left early and taken like a half a point, but I wasn't going to do that. So
yeah, I've only been stuck at work because of either someone being late or because of weather.
yeah,
Heck, our rest in peace, Jared was stuck at the front gate for 24 hours. That one winter storm.
yeah, I remember him telling me that was when I was still working at the plant at the time, and he told me about that. He was like, yeah, I wound up having to push the chairs together, and I just put a sign out that said "not for security." I was like, I don't think anybody can blame me in that situation. That's a long shift to work. So
Yeah, well, what had happened is your sister couldn't make it because of the weather. It was so
yeah,
bad your sister wasn't going to make it. And I could make it to work. I knew I could make it to work. But I was like, can you make it home?
yeah,
Like, I have no problem making it to work and making it home in the morning when the sun left. But
yeah,
can you get home tonight yourself in that little smart car?
yeah.
And he's like, no. He's like, there's no way I'm going to make it. He's like, I barely even got here this morning. Like, so what do you want to do? He's like, well, just go to bed and come in and relieve me in the morning. I'll just stay. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what
Plus,
I did. I
yeah.
went the other day and
Yeah,
let him go home.
anytime roads get icy, yeah, it's always more dangerous at night anyway because it's harder to spot that stuff. So,
Uh-huh.
but
Well, the
yeah,
thing is, I had a four-wheel drive Jeep and a front-wheel drive Kia. Either
yeah,
vehicle can get through that.
yeah,
But that's also the same day I went home after your sister relieved me because she was able to get there that day because the weather had pretty much calmed down for the most part, but there were still moments where it picked up. Uh, my wipers were frozen over, so it was hard to get the snow and stuff off.
excuse me. Yeah,
And a dude in a freaking pickup truck, when you can't even see where the white lines are, which lane you're in,
yeah.
was barreling past me with a fucking trailer.
Jeez.
Like almost knocks me completely off the road. I'm like, some people are just dumbasses.
Yeah, they're just. Yeah, I remember that winter because I got stuck at home for like 3 days. Luckily, the plant that I was working at the time, they literally just closed for 3 days.
Yeah. Well, I think all the
But I didn't even know like if they were open or not. But I was just like, whether they're open or not, regardless, I cannot make it because. And my issue wasn't even necessarily the roads themselves. I didn't even know how bad they were. I just could not get out of my parking lot. My car was stuck in the park. I tried and tried for hours to go forward, back up. People tried to push me and I was stuck. And I was like, I can't get out of here. So and I was like, so I just, and I tried again the next day, still was a no go. Finally, that third day, yeah, that third, because, I worked at night. And so finally, that third night, I I managed, it melted just enough where I managed to get out of there. So, and went into work. So,
Yeah, luckily the facility, which kind of sucks for us as the security guard, it's not that the same courtesy, given to us. If there's bad weather, the roads are bad, you can call in without a point.
yeah.
But for us, if you call in, well, one guard's stuck there for an extra
Right.
shift. You have another
Yeah,
guard can't.
that is the downside to security is like you're just like, I mean, you can leave if you want, but you're gonna get fired for abandoning your post because like so you're essentially just stuck there. Yeah. So until
Yeah,
somebody relieves you. So
yeah. There's only two of y'all that live. Two of y'all live the closest, and one of the closest that live there doesn't have a car.
yeah.
And I live, only 15 minutes away, but I could typically make it with the two types of vehicles I have. So I'm typically able to make it. But if no one else can make it, I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess he could walk it how close he is.
But would he though?
I don't know. Be one of those ones, call my boss as a corporate and be like, hey, I'm kind of stuck here at work, so y'all just gonna have to do it paying me overtime.
Yeah. Well, when you're in a tight situation, sometimes you got to work with what you got.
Yep. Hopefully they send me a guard to train this week.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that you were supposed to be getting somebody. I hope it's not somebody crappy.
I hope not.
I think I say that every time they're hiring somebody new. I'm like, I hope it's not somebody crappy. I hope it's not somebody crappy.
Well, the thing is, like, we've lost good guards for stupid reasons out there.
Yeah.
Like, we lost guards to the previous corporate guys not paying them, and he was a really good guard. We've lost guards to just something as simple as moving. Like,
yeah.
And the COVID rule, we lost 2 guards, which is also why we get kicked out of the front gate.
Yep.
And then, but at least one of them was he was an okay guard, but he's annoying. Thomas.
Oh. Yeah, he did a pretty good job at it. He was pretty good at his job. I mean, I'm not saying he's perfect. I mean, but he's pretty good at it. But yeah, I just couldn't stand working with him because of his conspiracy theories, stuff that he had to always go on about.
Yeah.
But job wise, yeah, he did a good job, I think. So even though Jared, I think, complained about him because he refused to work overtime because of his Social Security situation. So
Yeah, because he was a full retirement.
Yeah.
But he could only work. He didn't want to work extra hours because it would mess slightly with his.
Right. He was already pushing it with the amount of hours he was doing, and he was only allowed to work so many. So, So it just kind of made a frustrating situation for Jared. So,
yeah. Well, the thing is, dealing with Sammy when he was there, and he couldn't work more than one extra 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, well, you think I'd be a stressful situation, but not really, because I'm like, either I can just cover it, Kevin cover it, or whatever.
Yeah.
And at least he worked on the weekends, so I guess it's less stressful if your overtime person works not overtime person, but your person that can't work much overtime works on the weekend shift.
Yeah.
Because during the week, especially if you have like 1 or 2 guys that are there Monday through Friday that can pull overtime all the time, kind of covers that and makes that easier.
Yeah. I think another thing Thomas did that was frustrating to Jared was he would always, every year he had to take like 2 or almost 3 weeks off because I guess he figured out if he would have actually worked every week that year with that amount of hours, it actually would have messed with his Social Security. And so he had to take like so many weeks off to make up for the hours to try to balance it out. And yeah, I think it was like 3 weeks. And Jared was like, well, normally I don't give people 3 weeks, but just because of a situation, I was trying to work it out. So And he was like, it was kind of annoying. So I was like, yeah, I bet. So
I don't know how I would do it. I mean, I guess with a full crew of 10 like that, it's kind of a little easier.
yeah,
With
yeah,
our
definitely with the
situation,
front and back gate crew. Yeah, I'm sure it was a little easier to work with then. I don't know how that would work with just us in the back. So
yeah, there's just the six of us. And, you wouldn't think just dropping 4 people and dropping a whole gate would be that much of a pain. But it really is
yeah,
because,
it
like,
does. It makes a big difference. So,
not only that, it makes a heck of a time trying to hire people
yeah,
because you only get a certain type of people that will work 24 hours a week.
yeah,
So, but luckily for if whoever comes in new, if they're permanently for us, not just like they work a little bit at another site and then work our weekends at our site. Once April 15th comes around, they'll be able to get 32 hours instead. If they want it.
yeah.
So maybe that'll be a little bit more of a incentive to somebody just go ahead and get in the door now.
Maybe.
But then we'll be back, of course, after the 15th, back to trying to find a 24-hour person.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
But I've already warned corporate about that, so
Maybe they'll stay. Maybe they'll stay ahead of it. Yeah.
yeah. So is it weird that I've been actively like this one YouTuber who does covers of songs? I've been actively like he's got a playlist and what years he's done what covers. And I've been treating it like a TV show and going through the years in order and listening to all his covers.
Just like song covers, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've never done that with a channel that did like singing, but I have treated other channels that way before, like where I sort of treat it like yeah, kind of like a television show where I'm literally just like watching through it. So
Yeah, I've done that with podcasts. I've done that with the gaming channels.
yeah,
But I've never done that with music until now. Because typically, people that do music covers just have like plays all my favorite covers or this type of cover or whatever on their playlist. But this guy literally has them by a year on when he did each cover in a playlist.
okay, yeah,
So it's like he's got covers 2014, 2013, 2015, 2017, 2016. So like each year that he's done, every cover that he's done in that 1 year, he's put in a playlist title of that year. So like you can literally go back to his very first YouTube covers, which by the looks of it is 2017 is when he started his covers on YouTube. So you can literally watch in playlist covers 2017 when you're done. 2007, you can go to 2008, 2009, blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
And just follow his progression. Like,
yeah.
I'm treating
I've never done that with a music channel before. So
yeah, it's kind of fun.
yeah, I think I do that sometimes with YouTube. Just probably just has to do with the time period I grew up in, and I'm just so used to watching things that way. And so I sometimes I'll do that. Where when I watch the YouTube channel, I don't watch it like most people, especially probably younger people, would. Like I tend to watch it kind of like I'm watching like a TV show.
Yeah.
But it can depend on the YouTube channel because some I'm not sure how you would really do that with. So
Or like some of them, like if it's by gameplay,
yeah,
I just watch like especially if it's a game series. Like if I was going to watch somebody play, example, we got Spider-Man, then Spider-Man Miles Morales, then Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
You know, I watch their entire playlist like it's an entire season of Spider-Man. And then the second season's all about Miles Morales. And then the third season's about them both together.
Yeah.
Kind of thing in my head.
Yeah, I've done that with a few, especially video games like that I grew up with, like on the PS2. Like I watched somebody play the entire Jack 3 or Jack and Daxter trilogy, and I think Ratchet and Clank as well. And there was another one he did that I watched. Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts. So I was, and I kind of watched them like that. I just sat there and like just watched it like I'm watching like episodes of a TV show or something.
Yeah, I love it that you can do that with you, something as simple as you do. Because sometimes, like me and my wife will sit here and we'll go to eat or relax and we want to watch something. Sometimes we don't want to watch, a full show.
Yeah.
Because you can get invested in it, and there's just days you're like, you know what? I'm just not mentally ready to watch a show. Like anything that I have to actually like, oh wow, wait, where's the story going?
Right. For me, it kind of depends on how long the episodes are. So.
Yeah, and so you got YouTube, which is like, you can watch a podcast. Like we've been watching, of course, I've talked about it multiple times on our podcast, Talk About Pod.
Yeah.
We'll watch, because they're like an hour or something episode. We'll watch all the way till, they get to a certain point where I just like, okay, and then I'm on the next episode.
Yeah.
And we do that and watching it because they're going through all of Smallville. So it's a podcast over a TV show that they were in. So it's just synopsis and just listening to, the background stuff and the stories that they have and how they actually, their opinions on a show that they actually never watched. They just acted on it.
Yeah.
So, which is pretty intriguing, or we'll do something as simple as, I'll get on Peacock and watch, WWE. Because we've been watching it from when it first started on TV back in 1993. Now we're in 2000.
You're going all the way back, yeah.
Yeah, I went all the way back, showed my wife the old school stuff until, to this era we're in now with wrestling. But there, of course, there's matches that I skip because some matches I don't really care about the storyline.
Yeah, yeah.
Or there's just one-off matches, unless it's like a wrestler. I'm like, oh, this guy's really good. Watch the shit he can do. Then I might stop and watch it.
Yeah.
But it's something I can just turn my brain off because I already know, and she doesn't have to follow it too heavily. She could just get the bits and pieces of the storyline and watch the match if she thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
If it's a match she really thinks like, oh, I want to see those two face. Yeah, stay right there, babe. I'm like, okay. And we just go brainless mode on it. But there's very few things you can actually do that with.
Yeah, I was actually about to say that it kind of does depend on the type of show you're watching too sometimes, because if it's like a more heavy-handed, like maybe a drama type show, it's harder for me to watch multiple episodes back to back because it's kind of for me anyway, because it's just too much. But if I watch like a comedy show, especially if they're shorter episodes, like if I'm watching a sitcom or something, I can binge watch that much longer because it's much more light, and you don't take it very seriously and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, like for me, when I'm going to like, okay, so I look at this show, I'm like, all right, what's this show? I'm like, we'll take Vampire Diaries for example, right? Because I binge Vampire Diaries in the originals. I don't know if I want to complete Legacies because Legacies they really dropped the ball with that third installment of it, of the series.
Yeah.
They really went heavy on the teen drama, but CW's very bad.
Yeah.
Like the Vampire Diaries had some teen drama, but it was very serious, dark teen drama.
Yeah.
With this world, it's more annoying teen drama with the darkness in it.
Yeah. For me, it sometimes can depend on how the drama is handled too in a TV show. If it's a little like it's tricky to explain, but maybe if it's a bit too much like real life, then, or maybe not even so much like real life, maybe that's not a good analogy. Maybe it's a bit just uh too heavy handed, like, you know, maybe it's teen drama to the point, or even adult drama to the point where like people are like in real danger life situations, or like someone's, you know, like let's say a character gets cancer or something, and it's always something like that. Like that's too heavy for me to like watch too many episodes back to back. So
Or if it's like, you know, okay, it's like, okay, this is a really good show,
yeah.
but their drama is very melodramatic. It's over the top for no reason. You're
Yeah,
like, it's because you have to get your brain in a situation where it's like, because
you do have to kind of be in the right mindset for certain shows too. Yeah, so
yeah, because like when I set up to watch, okay, I'm gonna watch Vampire Diaries in original because this is before Legacies was announced, and I was up at the front guard check and I had all the plenty of time for it. Like, okay, switch my brain to this. I'm focus mode because I can do focus and still do work.
yeah.
So I was switched, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is a heavy drama. There's some dark stuff. There's going to be characters going to die. It's going to be some emotional points. Let's click that dial in my head. Now let's get into it.
Yeah.
Like you almost have to mentally prepare yourself sometimes for some people. I know people that can just watch any show for 200 episodes, you know, like,
Oh god, that's how my mom is. I have no idea how she does that.
which is bad because I'm a One Piece fan. And there's 1,000 some episodes of One Piece. I haven't all 1,000 episodes yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, because we have a list of shows that we're bouncing between when we're ready to watch an actual show. And we got shows that are just like break shows, shows that are still more serious, but they're not ones that we're heavily following yet.
Yeah.
Like they have a little bit lighter moments or something.
Yeah.
Like I find myself nowadays really not being able to like 100% binge watch something until I get into the zone. My wife can't really binge watch anything unless it's something that she can just have on the background and half not notice.
Yeah. Some shows
Like,
I can, but now if it's, I can't binge watch like some people can, because some people, like you just said earlier, like they can binge watch, sit down and binge watch. It's like multiple seasons and a night or something. I'm like, I cannot do that with any show, but I can binge watch quite a bit with certain shows. But I just have to have other things to do. I can't just sit there and do one thing for a long period of time like that. And it's probably just because I have ADHD. So
well, like I found a perfect way to get around that for me. Is like one at work, you know, I gotta pause and do this or that or move around or something. And of course, you know, I'm a smoker, so if I want to smoke, I gotta walk outside the guard shack.
yeah,
So I have to pause and it takes me a little break. At home, I just smoke and watch. I smoke in the house.
yeah,
So I've noticed I can't binge watch stuff at home like I can at work.
yeah, which makes sense.
Which again, a lot of that's because there's things I have to take priority over the show, so I take a break.
Right. Plus, when you're at work, you're automatically got limited things to do. So it's like, well, I guess I'll just, keep watching the show, It's like, what else am I going to do? Yeah.
But if I'm going to binge watch a show, say that the show my wife gets really into and she wants to watch, 20 episodes of it, an entire season, whatever.
Yeah.
I can do that because I have someone else with me. If I'm by myself, I cannot, I jump through stuff so much.
Yeah, I can agree with that to an extent. There are some shows I have watched more episodes than I probably would have by myself. Since I was watching with somebody, I watched more episodes. So
you have someone to bounce, like you pause the show and be like,
yeah,
holy
you kind of talk.
shit,
Yeah,
man.
you kind of talk about it a little bit. Yeah.
So breaks that monotony. Whereas me by myself, like on the weekends when my wife's at work, if like instead of of course taking the break recording the podcast, now I literally will watch a couple YouTube videos, maybe go to a TV show, and then jump back on a game, play a game for a little bit with my friends, and then get bored of that and be like, I'll be back later. I'm going to go get me some food and watch a little bit of something else. And I'll go get some food and watch something and go right back to video games. I'm jumping around between all this shit because I can't just sit here and stay on something.
Yeah.
And then there'll be times it'll irritate me. So I'll watch a show and nothing will go on for 4 episodes. Not really nothing for 4 man.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of the show. I'm about to click off it. And then it clicks on something that they're about to hit heavy on their, main story plot. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now I want to continue watching, but I'm tired of the show. What the fuck?
I actually kind of like it when this is one of my weird things about myself, but I actually kind of like it when shows get kind of draggy, like when they hang on for one thing for a little while. So.
Well, yeah, my thing is, I was like, when they switch the gear on me about the time that I'm tired of watching, I want to take a break.
Yeah.
And because my brain goes, well, I want to see what's about to happen. Now I'm curious what they're about to fuck do. But at the same time, it's like, I've been watching it for about 2 hours. I'm kind of wanting to do something else.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing I really like. Well, probably mildly embarrassing thing I'll tell about myself, but I actually like to watch a soap opera called The Bold and the Beautiful. And that's one of my favorite things about that show is because of the fact that it is kind of draggy. If you ever watch it, you would see, like, I thought maybe I would like other soap operas as well, but I tried watching others and I didn't like them. I couldn't get into them like I could. I think it's something about the characters I like with this show. I don't know what it is, because I do like the character Ridge a lot. So he's one of the main characters. But yeah, so, and that's one of the things I like about it. And it's also not too, it's a soap opera, so it's like by default, it's like an adult drama essentially. But it's not too heavy really on the drama, because most of the problems they have are like, like rich people problems, So it doesn't feel too, like, most of the time it doesn't feel like I'm sitting there going, oh man, geez, I feel so sorry for these people. It's more just like, like, these people are so dramatic, kind of attitude about it. So, which some people, I understand it's not for everybody. So, but yeah, a little embarrassing thing I'll admit about myself. So, which I will admit I'm way behind on the show, because it's easy to get behind on that show because it literally airs Monday through Friday. And so if you don't watch for like a couple of months, you're like way behind. So, but yeah.
Yeah, well, like, this is going to, I'm a weird person. Like, so, of course, I watch anime and stuff, but like,
yep.
I hate, like, I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
That's newer animes. It's not new. It's been around for a little bit, but I haven't gotten into it until recently. And that's because I just, now decided to start paying for Crunchyroll. And they got to a new, like, I'm a very big admin when it comes to anime. I have to watch the new intro if they change the intro. At least a couple episodes, I have to listen to the new intro and see how the video works, what the new song is. And that could be just because I'm a music buff. I'm going to compare, well, this season had a really strong intro, but this season the intro didn't really make sense to the show, kind of thing, when I talked to other anime guys.
You don't watch the intro every episode?
No.
Oh, okay.
I only watch it when there's a new intro. I watch it. If I have the option to skip it, I skip it.
Oh, every show I watch the intro every single episode. To me, it's part of the experience. So,
well, there's some intros for anime that's just horrible intros.
If it's a straight up, like, you just straight up don't like it, I can understand. But it's very rare that I come across intros that I just dislike that much that I would actually want to skip it. So, well, I will admit I always skip the SpongeBob intro though, because I can't stand that intro. But other than that,
but like, so I'll at least watch it for a few times to see how I really gauge it, that intro, before I decide to start skipping it.
Yeah.
But in the most recent part of Jujutsu Kaisen I got to, the situation was ramping up. Mm-hmm. Like, it was slow, and then as soon as it ramped up, they changed the intro. And like, I don't want to watch the intro. I just want to get the show. What's going on? Dude, just skip the intro right now. And it took like 6-7 episodes in the beginning of this part of it, maybe 8 before I actually like, okay, now I'll watch the intro. Everything's calmed back down. Let me experience the intro.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get right back to the action because it was just so interesting. I was like, oh yes.
Yeah.
You can't take
I can understand that. It's not something I do, but I can definitely understand that. Like you just want to get back to the show to figure out what's going to happen next. Yeah. So,
yeah. It's basically that kind of aspect with, when I was talking about earlier with the show when it's really start to drag on with pointless shit and then they all of a sudden pick up the good shit again.
yeah.
It irritates me because like I'm just like I just want to get into the story.
Yeah.
I don't mind an episode or two that are slow to kind of, especially with older shows, like I want to say like early 2000s, 90s and stuff to early mid 2000s. Those shows I don't mind as much because there's like 22, 23 episodes a lot of times, and not everyone is going to be a banger. There's going to be, especially when they're going on for 8, 9, 10 seasons.
Yeah.
Or in Supernatural's case, 15 seasons. So it's like, okay, that when I'm watching those shows, I'm like, okay, there's going to be some episodes, maybe some seasons that aren't going to be they're going to drop the ball a little bit. They got to rest somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I go into the state of mind with those ones, but when you come to like a 10, 8 episode series, that's like 40 to an hour minute long episodes a piece, and those have entire like 3 episodes of just drag ass. Pisses me off because like, look, dude, you have all this time. You have cut shows over half of the length of episodes you used to do. Yeah, you increase the episode length itself, but you decrease the season length. You don't have much excuse for the dead air time.
Yeah.
Story. So I'm very if it's more than 10 episodes, I'd say more than 15 episodes. I'm gonna, around there, I expect there are gonna be some dead episodes.
Yeah.
If it's like 5 or more seasons, I'm gonna expect some dead seasons.
Yeah.
But if you only have 2 seasons of a show that you've completely finished in 2 seasons, they're only like 10 episodes, like they're like maybe an hour long. There's no excuse for dead time. That's just maybe me being a harsh critic, but
No, I totally understand. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of weird. I'm a little the opposite. I actually like it when shows drag, but I mean, I have to like the show. I'm not going to automatically like a show just because it's draggy. That's not what I'm saying. But if I like the show and it's draggy and it really takes its time through the show, like that's something I actually personally enjoy. So, but you don't come across that too much today. I mean, I guess with some shows you do, but I don't think it's quite as common.
Well, like I'm okay with the slow, draggy beginning to a show. Like if the first like 5, 6, 7 episodes are draggy, I'm like, okay, what are they building? Where are they going with this? And then if they start hitting off with the end of the season when everything's come to crescendo, the world's been built, the characters are there, you understand your characters, then they start picking up. I'm okay with a slow burn there. But you can't get me into a show and do all this action stuff in the first 2, 3 episodes and then just fan out on me.
Yeah.
It's like edging you. You know what I mean? You're getting right there, you're about to crescendo, and they just stop.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind the slow start, the little foreplay, But I want to go to crescendo at the end.
Yeah.
My show. And like I don't know about you, but I'm also the type of person that doesn't hate the to be continues.
Oh yeah, I don't mind that at all. I actually kind of like cliffhangers. So
like I used to really hate the to be continued, but a lot of that's
Yeah.
good. I was impatient. I'm like, but what? What's gonna happen?
Yeah,
And
you could thank Charles Dickens for that,
yeah,
the inventor
but,
of the cliffhanger.
but like, and also it's like, well, I'm gonna have another fucking year before I have to figure out what's going to be on this cliffhanger. And of course, with us growing up, I mean, people nowadays it's still just as bad, probably, I guess, with some shows.
Yeah.
You can only have one season of a show and they leave on a massive cliffhanger and the show be canceled.
Oh yeah. Now that would make me upset because then I'm never going to see the continuation. But yeah.
But so, as a kid, I knowing this, like, okay, this show could be picked up. I just had to wait. I had to wait half a year before the announcement on TV that they're actually picking up the show. When they announced
Yeah.
the show's return. Until then, I don't know if the show's is dead or not, because it wasn't like nowadays you can't, you're not going to just get up on the internet and like, hey, it's been announced the show's been canceled or whatever. Sometimes you even know before this first season even ends that it wasn't going to be picked up for the second season.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
And
nowadays a lot of. Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know nowadays a lot of shows and movies will do the same thing where they try to do that play safe sort of cliffhanger, where it could be a cliffhanger, but it also could be the ending too. It kind of plays it safe because in situations like that, they don't know if it's going to be greenlit or not. So it works both ways. So
Well, like with Smallville, one of the things that the producers of that were really smart about doing
mm-hmm.
is they actually recorded two versions of each season.
Yeah, that would work too.
They recorded the cliffhanger that they were going to have, and they recorded an actual wrap up episode. And
Yeah.
depending on by the time the episode gets through, if they were going to be picked up, they would air the cliffhanger. But if they were told, "Hey, we're not going to go on to the next season," they're like, "Well, we got this in our bag to put there." Be like, "Hey, it's the end of Smallville. Sorry," kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm like,
Like,
that's smart.
yeah, yeah, that definitely would work too. So, but
Because
yeah, I think people, writers and producers, they took them long enough, I guess, but they finally learned that, just because you end something on a to be continue or a cliffhanger, that doesn't automatically guarantee a green light. So,
that will piss me off more than anything.
yeah.
And
There's
it's
one,
go ahead.
this is kind of sort of off topic, I guess, but I know there's one show that actually tried to use ending the show on a cliffhanger to their advantage because they didn't get a green light for the next season. And they thought, oh, well, we're going to show them, we're going to end our show on a to be continued to where they'll have to green light us. They purposely did that and, thinking they were going to get a green light. Well, it didn't work. And then the show winded up ending that way. That's the show, the sitcom Alf. I don't know if you ever heard of it or watched it, but
Yeah.
it ends where he actually gets taken by the CIA or whatever, and
Yeah.
they ended it that way on purpose because they, like I said, oh yeah, well, like they thought, oh, this is going to get us our green light. Yeah, it didn't work, and then the show winded up ending that way, and I'm like, yeah, congratulations, you freaking idiots. Yeah.
But with them, they came back. Then they come back with a movie to finish it.
I think they did, but that came out quite a few years later. And of course, they made tons of commercials with Alf in it, so it kind of felt like he was, seemed to be okay, I guess. So
Yeah,
that
they did
show didn't age well anyway. That show's pretty stupid. So
another show that happened to. Like the creators didn't know they were going to be greenlit or not, but they just ended the way they were in it. Just because it's the way they wanted their story. Was Firefly.
yeah, I still
That
haven't
ended.
watched that one, but I've heard it's really good. But they were like,
Okay.
unfortunately, it doesn't go long enough. And I was like, yeah.
But
So
then they came back and got a green light to do a movie to wrap their entire world up.
yeah,
So with Firefly, you watch the series, and then you watch the movie.
yeah.
But then you get shows like, okay, this is going to probably piss off a lot of fanboys. Let's do this.
Oh boy.
Fucking Star Trek gets all these fucking seasons of each fucking version of it,
Yeah.
and it's not really that good.
The whole show or just the sequel seasons? Yeah.
Just the whole, like, some of the sequel seasons aren't even good.
The only version of the show I think is actually pretty good, and keyword being pretty good, is I actually prefer the original series with like most people prefer like the next generation or whatever with like Captain Picard. Yeah. But like I prefer Captain Kirk and like in their original team with the original show, like I thought it was better in my opinion. So
Well, like when I watch the one with Captain Kirk, it's like I expect cheesy sci-fi.
Yeah. It's a kind of a show that knows what it is, and it's not really trying to be anything else. Yeah.
But later with the Star Trek, they try to get so fucking serious.
Yeah.
Now, to help cushion the blow from fanboys or fangirls if any of them listen, I love the movies.
Yeah.
Star Trek a lot better as a movie series to me than a TV show series.
Yeah, that's how my mom feels. She thinks the movies are better than the TV shows. So,
because that's what Star Wars is the same for me. The TV shows of them is hit or miss when they did any of the shows.
mm-hmm.
The movies are good, except for, of course, the Disney trilogy.
Yeah. To me, the only good one is Empire Strikes Back. But yeah.
Hey, you won't get a lot of feedback for that one. Like, a lot of people think that's the best movie and only good one.
Yeah.
But I love Star Wars in general. And I like, for me, something like Star Wars, Star Trek, they worked way better as movies than they did when they decided to do TV shows. Except for, of course, the Clone Wars animated show, because that's just, it's animated and it pieces a lot of the world together.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching that show when I was a preteen.
But like
I don't remember much about it, but
the first attempt at it wasn't that good. They have two different the Clone Wars TV shows. One didn't last as long.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. One of them still had Anakin with his one little dread after like episode 2.
Yeah. That's the version I remember. Maybe I didn't see the later version.
The other version is I don't know. I got to look up because I'm not 100% correct because if they're still both like canon to the world. Because the way the one looks, Anakin was like between 2 and 3. But the next one picked up in the Clone Wars fully, even further. And Anakin's got his long hair and.
Yeah. See, I don't remember him having long hair in the show, so I don't think I ever saw that version. Yeah. I don't really remember how long I watched it for, so I'm probably not long.
Yeah, the version with his long hair that matches up with how he looks in episode 3 actually has they ended it. I think they didn't get a green light, and so the series was never completed. But I think it was last year or the year before. Maybe I can't remember. It's been like a couple of years at least. They came back and finished that season and tied it into the movie. Finished that series and tied it into the third movie.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah.
So, but that one, the problem with that show, though, the biggest problem I had with the Clone Wars TV show is everything was aired out of like in a weird order. Because like things that they talked about, that already happened wasn't talking about in this episode because this episode was before that, and they done a weird thing with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I may have to watch it one day. If I ever get around to it, I'll probably be like 50 before I finally watch it, but maybe one day.
But for me though, a show that in the sci-fi genre that worked better as a series than a movie would be Stargate. But Yeah, so because like there was so much that they could world versus like Star Trek and Star Wars in some aspects
Yeah.
that it made it better as a TV series.
Stargate.
Stargate, yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, of course, SG-1, which came off the movie,
Yeah.
of course, it did start as a movie first, but and I know a lot of people have issues with they changed one character. The actor, I guess, didn't want to come back, or I can't remember. I don't know the situation behind the scenes of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Is the nerdy dude with the glasses, the
Yeah.
archaeologist guy?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that. Is he from the movie or the show?
So he's from both. His character is in both, but the actor in the movie is different than the actor in the show.
Oh, okay. It's
Well,
it's
yeah,
been.
the same
I
actor.
attempted to watch that show. Geez, like well over 2 years ago, I think.
Wait, was it him? Wait, I might be missing my thing. Let me double check myself before I wreck myself.
You're throwing your reputation all on the line right here. All the Stargate fans are gonna be like, "You don't even know. You're a fake fan. You don't even know what you're talking about."
Well,
There's
like
probably
it's
not.
hard.
Probably not too many SG-1 fans out there going that crazy over it. But I guess you never know with some people on the internet. Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
Jack O'Neill was played by Kurt Russell, and Daniel Jackson was played by James Spade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was correct, and I also forgot one. There are different actors who played them in SG-1, which Richard Dean Anderson and Michael Shanks replaced those two. If I'm making sure my source is correct. You should do this. SG-1. So let's see here. Which was the first movie? 1984. Yep. So let's look at the cast. Yeah, James Spade was Daniel Jackson and Kurt Russell was Jack O'Neill. And then when we got to the TV show, look at the cast. Richard Dean Anderson replaced the actor who became Jack O'Neill, and Michael Shanks became Daniel Jackson. So they replaced two actors for that entire play.
Hmm.
Yeah. Kind of curious why.
Did neither one of them want to be in it, or they just?
Yeah, by the time SG-1 reached the airways, Russell and Spade moved on to other projects, and neither of them were television actors either. At the time, going from film to TV had much more of a stigma than it does today. So, okay.
Yeah.
So basically, they didn't want to go from movies to TV shows.
I suppose it could be a longer commitment when you think about it. So.
Well, not only that is like, when you think about it, like, people in TV shows, especially back then, like, as much as they were liked, the big paid actors were the movie stars. TV.
Yeah, shows, 90s and before, they did try to keep those kind of actors separated from each other. It was like the movie actors were movie actors, the TV shows were TV show actors, and yeah.
Because it
not always, but they did kind of separate them a little bit.
Because I think like the tiers they kind of considered, especially back then, and actors bounce back and forth way more now than they used to then.
Oh yeah,
was like the low tier were the stage play guys. They performed live shows in New York and over in London and this and that.
Yeah.
And then you had the TV show actors who started breaking into the big business. They're on TV at all the households and they're on sets and this and that. And then you had the big movie stars who got in there, they performed a couple scenes and they were done for their movie. And they got paid way more because movies had way bigger budgets. They still do. Which kind of annoys me. If TV shows had a similar budget to movies, can you imagine how great TV shows would be.
Yeah, well, they kind of do nowadays, but
Well, no,
back
because
then, yeah, back then they don't, they didn't, but for sure.
now they have what they'll do with TV shows is the season itself gets one budget, and they
Yeah.
get to split that budget between each episode,
Yeah,
which is why you'll see in some
a
shows
lot of modern day shows, you kind of have to think of each season as one really long movie almost.
Yeah.
So that's
But that's
split
also
into
why
different episodes.
like people talk about the TV show The Flash on CW, where there's some really great CGI scenes and some really not so great. Well, it's because they had to pick and choose where they could put their budget in.
Right. They probably thought that scene was better or whatever. Yeah. So they put more money into it. Yeah.
It's either that or this episode's going to have this CGI stuff, yes, but this episode's our big time episode.
Yeah.
We got to put all the money into this episode and these scenarios because this is just more the B story over here. So if it's a B story, they're not going to put as much into it. And so, like, when in the season where the forces come into play, like the strength force, the sage force, the speed, the still force, and all that came into play, the strength force hurt you. CGI wasn't actually that good. But the kicker is they had to put a lot into the sage force because he's using these purple energy attacks, and then you got Barry running with his lightning, and the still force, disappearing with green lights, and so they kind of had to pull back in certain spots.
Yeah.
They put the CGI and all the money into the ability looks versus the creature looks, which kind of sucks. But it actually, Flash had one of the lower budgets, I guess, of the series in CW. Because the show that's still going on, it's about to be done with it, I guess, for the CW, which is Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois, whatever. It has like almost like 50 million more on its budget than the Flash did.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But then you look at like we'll take Avengers movies for example. Marvel is just as popular as DC, and DC is just as popular as Marvel.
Yeah.
But Marvel movies with Disney having to throw all these fundings at them are at $300 billion. And they're also, you take a 2-hour movie with $100-something billion in it itself, either on the lower end of their budgets, it's going to be better than a whole show that's, each episode's 30 minutes to 45 minutes long, and then you have 20-something episodes with the same budget.
Yeah.
Because there's so many more hours to the film, to the CGI. So shows are getting basically kicked in the ass. Shows in reality need more budgeting, especially if you're making a superhero show.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to do a lot with Arrow because that's a lot of stunt work, and he's just a guy with a bow and arrow. Wasn't a lot to it, but when you get to something like Flash, Supergirl, the DC's Legend of Tomorrow, and so like that, you need a little bit more budget over here, my friends. Because you got people flying, shooting heat vision. You got a guy running super fast and fighting in the Speed Force, throwing lightning. Fighting a guy that's a shark, king shark. I think you need your budget over here, people. And it's not like CW and Warner Brothers themselves don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially with like the CW being mostly teen dramas that don't need a lot of budget. Put your extra funds over here instead of this stupid teen over here that doesn't do anything but walk around and cries at every time a boy breaks up with her. Or every time the guy, every time his girlfriend dumps him. He goes asshole mode or whatever, the jock being the jock, and
Yeah.
you don't need all that money over there. You need it over here where you can use your CGI. To me, it's just bad use of money.
Yeah.
And that's what kills a lot of shows. And to me, shows are better than movies. I would rather, a lot of times, watch a TV show than a movie.
Yeah, it depends on how it's dressed up. If it's a movie series, I can get down. Yeah, but yeah, individual movies, I agree with you. Most of the time, I would prefer to watch a show. So,
Well, the problem I have with sometimes with movie series,
I feel like with shows, they can get more into the characters, and that's usually my favorite part of the story is the characters. So,
well, not only that is you risk. Okay, so this movie's gonna get picked up for a second movie.
yeah,
Well, is it gonna be the same director, same actors? Is there going to be a recast call because one actor decides he doesn't want to do that no more? Because like TV show actors, they go on, they sign for so many seasons, and if they reach that amount of seasons and the show's going to continue, they can sign on to be more or whatever. And if the show gets canceled, well, the show was canceled, so I don't have that contract is now void. I can go on to something else.
yeah.
So it's like what you're getting into with movie acting. It's like, I can sign on for so many movies, I guess, as this character. But a lot of times, most movies are like, we don't know if we're going to do a lot with these characters. Like, or they just wait for like 5-6 years and like, hey, you know what? We're going to make the second movie or third movie to the series. And of course, Hollywood is very fickle with things and stuff. And, what if the actor gets arrested before the next movie even gets greenlighted? There's a big controversy over him. He can't be in that movie because of it. Well, you're going to have to recast or cancel the movie, especially if he's the main actor.
Yeah.
So I would rather, I guess, if I was to be any kind of actor, I'd want to be a show actor. Because at least then you're actually actively busy and too busy to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. I guess if I had to pick one, I would probably rather be a show actor over a movie actor personally. But yeah.
Yeah, you can get paid more to be a movie actor, but at the same time, there's a good chance of having a lot of free time.
Yeah.
Whereas with a show, you sign on, you're like, okay, if this is a good show, I'm going to have all this work for sure. But with a movie, you're like, okay, this movie might bomb or it might be good, and even if it's good, they might not even pick it up for another movie because, well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's just a one-off, and I might be without a job for the next couple months until a new movie comes out, and I go try and audition for that movie. Yeah. I'd rather gamble more on a show as an actor than the movies. Now, if you got lucky and got picked up for a main like MCU character, yeah, you're fine. Because most of those guys can stay as their character until either the story plot calls for them to be killed off, or until they're like, yeah, we're just gonna move out and they'll kill them off in the next movie, or whatever. Like with Robert Downey Jr., he could have stayed on. Same with Chris. They could have stayed on as Cap and Iron Man a lot longer if they really wanted to, but they were ready to get out, move on.
Yeah.
So they just used Endgame as a good way to make them move them on. Went on a whole weird tangent there.
Just like every episode.
Yeah, I basically think I don't think about doing it when we start recording the episode. I don't say you're like, you know what? He's about to call me. We're about to start recording the episode. What can I bitch about today? It just happens. I start with trying to say something and then it goes somewhere else and then it gets on something that, well, fuck, I'm about to rant. Here we go.
Yeah. sometimes I'll think of little things I'd like to talk about before we start the podcast. Sometimes it'll even be days before we do the podcast, and I'll think, oh, I might talk about that. And but it never winds up happening because I never think of a good. I either can't remember what I was going to say, like what I was going to talk about, or sometimes I do remember, but there's just really no good place to insert it into the podcast. It would just feel so out of the blue if I started suddenly talking about it. So, but most of the time, I usually just flat out forget. So.
Well, what you need to do for future episodes, write those thoughts down, and you start out with it before I even get on to something that can
The
make
problem is I'm an overthinker, and I would overthink. I'd be sitting there looking at my list, going, "Nah, I don't want to talk about that. That would just be stupid to talk about that right now. That'd just be, you know." And by the end of it, I would have every single thing marked out, be like, "I just won't talk about any of it."
God.
Mm.
Well, I'm just easily able to rant about stuff. So you just give me one little thing, and I can typically run with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just who I am as a person.
Yeah, for me, it depends on the topic. So there's definitely some things I can go friggin' days about, but ranting about, but I just can't do that with like anything. So
Yeah. Yeah, I can typically do that about anything. Like, and that's because I kind of stick my feed into pretty much anything that seems interesting. Like I can go on a whole ranging about uh uh dinosaurs, which we have, or something in the medical field, or politics, or especially anything nerd wise. I can pretty much rant and rave and have a good discussion about it.
yeah.
And that's just because I like to get my feet into multiple things because if it intrigues me, I'm going to look at it. I'm not a one trick pony when it comes to things to talk about.
One trick pony.
Like, a lot of shit
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of interests myself. It's just quite a few of my interests are just things I never talk about for some reason. I don't know why. So I just never do, including the podcast. I just never talk about it. So.
You get me to do a podcast with you that's about just ranting or doing whatever we want to talk about, and you leave me holding the bag.
That's why I picked you. I was just like, well, he'll just take care of everything, and I can just do the editing. And yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I didn't intend for it to be like that. I just, I don't know. It's just me. I'm just like that. So. Like I said, I think the biggest problem is I'm such an overthinker, and that might be why I don't talk about a lot of my interests to, various people, even people I know really well. I don't talk about it much because I'm sitting there going, they'll think that's stupid, or they might think that's boring, or whatever. So, but yep, exciting stuff. I love the way I ended that little conversation piece. Like, yep, exciting stuff.
Exciting stuff.
Probably the only person I could talk about almost anything with is actually my sister, believe it or not. I don't know why, but probably because I just known her so long.
Yeah, I mean, that helps.
I mean, I literally known her my whole life, so. And but yeah, with her, like if we ever sit down and get to talking, yeah, I'll literally like talk about all kinds of crap that I would never talk about hardly anybody with. I never even talked about some of that stuff with my freaking ex-wife with. So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like you got a friend who you got to do a podcast with that no topic is taboo for, and you're so closed off.
What?
You're so closed off.
Yeah. Well, maybe give me some time and I might become more open once I get more used to it. So I feel like I've gotten a little more comfortable in the podcast because, like, when we first started, I would hardly talk about hardly anything. So I'd just be like, or except for very basic stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta break into yourself. I just kind of looked
Yeah.
at this. Okay, I'm gonna maybe for the first few episodes, kind of, you know, censor myself a little bit. And maybe after a couple episodes, just say fuck that. And I'm getting more and more into the fuck that.
It probably doesn't help too much the last like year to year and a half. My interest and my viewpoints on various things of life have just changed so much too. So it's like I'm still kind of in this weird stage of my life where I'm kind of figuring out who the heck I am. So in a way,
Yeah,
so it's like so some stuff I'm like I don't know if I want to talk about that or not. So
so what you're saying is you're having your midlife crisis.
yeah, kind of. So I thought I was having one when I was in my late 20s. I was having like a weird early midlife crisis, but I think that was just like the small wave before the tsunami kind of thing. So
Well, because
yeah,
technically midlife is like 35.
yeah, depending on when you're gonna die. So
Well, it's calculated on the average, human lifespan.
my average human life is 150.
Fuck that.
And still in great health until the last day too.
So you're gonna be one of those. Sorry for you Asians, but you're like one of those Asian people that they look so good for so many years, and all of a sudden the next day you see them, they're fucking like look like 50
Just the
years
last day I'm alive, yeah, I just suddenly come out of my room and I'm like, holy crap. And
Holy
then
shit!
later on that night I just go sit in a chair or something and then just kill over. It was his time.
The sad reality about that thought process is it kind of actually works that way for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially after humans after we retire. If you don't have anything to do, you just eventually sit there and one day you just are way older looking than what you should be, and you just die.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's kind of a sad reality about us humans.
Yeah. Sometimes people die, they still look pretty young. I mean, and I'm talking about people that die in an older age and they still look pretty young. So
Those are the
not
lucky.
talking. Yeah. My grandma died like that. She still looked really good for her age. She died in like her, I think she was in her late 60s, which is still pretty young, but it's not exactly like super young, really. And she looked way younger than that age though when she died. So
Yeah, my grandma when she passed away, in her 60s, she just looked. She looked the same like she always had my entire life. Except for she looked a little bit more like weathered because she had been going to doctors and this and that. She was kind of more worn out.
yeah,
So she could tell it was what she was getting a little weathered on that. But relatively, she looked the same.
yeah. It probably helps with my grandma too that she's just even her in her younger years, you can tell she just had a mature look to her. Because some people just look old like from the time they're like, and when I say old, I mean like they have a mature look to them. Like from the time that they like turn 20, they just suddenly just look like an older person,
Yeah,
and then they
I'm
just look like that the rest of their life.
I'm unlucky because up until like 24, 25,
Yeah,
if I didn't have facial hair, I looked so fucking young.
yeah. Some guys, it's definitely like that with them.
And now, I'm just now 31. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, even if I shave, I'm still going to look at least to my late 20s.
Yeah,
My age, my facial features are finally catching up to my age.
yeah.
It just took so fucking long. Because I have a picture of me when I was 21, and everyone's like, dude, you look 16. I'm like, I'm not. I'm 21. I
That's
just
what a lot.
freshly saved.
That's what a lot of people told me. Like when I got my first job at the plant, and you have to, there they require that you're 18 to work there, and I was 20, I think, at the time. And a lot of people didn't believe. They were like, "Are you old enough to work?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I just lied about my age when I got hired. I faked my ID and everything." I was like, "Yes, I'm old enough to work here. How old do you think I am?" They were like, "I don't know. You look like you're like 15 or something." So,
When you start working for security, and I think it's because,
yeah,
of course, you had your hair done, you looked relatively younger than me. I thought you were slightly younger than me.
yeah,
But at the same time, like, you know what? He probably isn't. He's probably close to my age, like relatively either on point or older because but you looked younger.
yeah,
But that's also the way, it works, I guess, with some people. Because, like I said, with me, if my hair is done a certain way and I don't have a beard, I looked relatively fucking young.
yeah. The way
Some
you
days,
fix people fix themselves up can make a difference. Like if they dress a certain way, fix their hair a certain way, maybe clean shave, that can make a huge difference on their age versus if they grow a beard, dress a bit older, maybe make their hairstyle different. Yeah. So
like, there's days I look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm kind of tempted to shave just to see what I look like right now.
yeah.
But then I go, you know what? I don't want to have to regrow it and do all this extra work again. And
That sometimes I think about cutting my bangs shorter because I've been thinking about doing the three layered hair, like where you have like your bangs just just below like your forehead, and then like the side hair, and then the longer back hair. But then I'm like, I spent all that time growing my bangs out. I'm not gonna sit there and get them cut short after I just did all that. So they're staying long for now. So yeah,
the sad thing about it, because of my receding hairline, my hair naturally does that.
yeah,
But I hate having the receding hairline. I hate it less now that I'm in my 30s.
yeah.
But I'm like, okay, now I feel like it matches my age. You know. But when it started receding back when I was like 20, 21, and it started to recede slightly, I was like, no.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I can understand that at a younger age. That would be. I mean, most men, even in their 40s, when that starts happening, they don't take it very well. I couldn't imagine that happening like in their 20s. So,
Yeah, like for me, if it was to start, like if my hair didn't start receding till now, like I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm getting old. I can see my hair's always receding. But the fact that it happened so much sooner, and I'm like, and now it's so far back, and it kind of just it went in a weird way because like it stopped so far back, and the
yeah.
rest of the hair on that line is so fucking thick. I'm like, okay, grow back and give my hairline back, or just fucking make me bald naturally. Just do it one way or the other, fucker. Don't
Yeah,
just pass it, you motherfucker. But I've discovered, with the long hair, I can keep it growing backwards, even with the receding hairline. It still looks good
yeah,
on me. Anyways. That's also a big thing. If some people can pull off a receding hairline, some people can't.
yeah. Some people can. I've seen some guys that I'm like, yeah, he's got receding hairline, but like he pulls it off well. He looks good. So
And the funny thing is, like when I fill the spots that I don't have hair that I can visually see,
yeah,
I feel really tiny hairs. It's like those hairs just don't grow.
yeah. It reminds me of that episode of SpongeBob. I think it was Barnacle Boy where they show the top of his head and he's bald all over, but he's got just tiny little hairs that spurt randomly. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, you know how like when I don't know if you've ever like, I guess you've never shaved your head.
No, I've never done that. I've buzzed it, but I've never shaved it. No. So,
Like, when you shave your face and that the first little sign of prickle before it gets like really prickly, it's really like fuzzy
yeah.
sensation, and then it goes prickle mode,
Yeah.
I call it. That's how my receding hairline is. It's like fuzzy. Feeling
Hmm.
like you can feel a little bit in like you can feel the hair slightly move because they're just slightly long enough to do that, but they're not prickly yet, and they're just fuzzy, and they just been staying in that suspended animation since I was in my 20s.
I need to remind myself to pet your head one day.
No.
But it's fuzzy.
Some people say it's because I used to wear hats all the time that it did this.
I've heard that before, but I don't know if there's actually any evidence or proof behind that. But I have heard that many times. People say if you wear hats, it can make it worse. So,
because like I wore
a lot of hats in my mid-20s, and I don't remember my hairline ever getting or my hair ever getting thinner or anything. But maybe I didn't wear it enough. I don't know. So,
well, I started wearing hats like all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Except of course at school because they wouldn't allow it. But when I was, in my later teens,
yeah,
I'd wear a hat all the time, and then I stopped wearing a hat. I didn't stop wearing hats until like actively wearing hats until I was like 22, 23.
Yeah.
And that's because like at that point I started getting more to term with my hairline, but also kept it buzzed for a long time too.
Yeah.
And that could have been the difference makers. My hair was always short, so the hat always rubbed right there.
Maybe. I don't know.
If I had kept my hair long, which my mom wasn't allowed, but if I was able to, keep my hair growing out like I have it now, maybe it wouldn't affect it because the hair would have cushioned, itself.
Kind of give you some traction room there. Yeah.
Because I don't know. Yeah, I find it weird. Like out of all the scientists nowadays, like how do we not have we not figured out how to regrow hair?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because like
there's so many different theories and opinions about that. So
yeah, there's a few things that I'm curious and like, why can't we cause the human body to grow in certain things? Like we know how to make muscles bigger. We can actually make. We know if as a kid, if you eat certain foods, it can change your growth and that and this and that.
Yeah.
We know all this, but we can't regrow hair very well.
Yeah. Just something we got to put up with.
Yeah. Now I don't know if scientists like discovered a magical thing they can make into a pill that would actually cause your hair follicles to revitalize and start growing hair again. I don't know if I'd actually take it though. Because I said, now
if scientists came up with it in a lab and then they sold it like through the doctor, first of all they'd probably charge an arm and a leg for it. And
I'm saying even if I could afford it, I don't know if I would, because they would probably it would probably be more expensive because if it's done right and it's one of those things that once your hair fully grows back, you can just stop taking it.
Yeah.
They'd start eventually losing money because people would need it long term. Most time medicines that are cheaper are more long-term medicines. And that's because, it'd be harder for them to charge way more than what they would probably really want to for a long-term medicine.
Yeah.
But also, did you hear about doctors just actually are now able to subscribe? Yeah. Insulin for weight loss.
No, I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, because people discovered that's why another reason insulin prices got jacked up. Is because some assholes discovered that even if you're not diabetic and you take insulin, it actually will drop your weight.
Huh. I guess that makes sense because insulin does, deal with the fat and carbs and stuff going in your body. So, So makes sense that
And
increasing more of that hormone, yeah, would kind of help regulate that, I guess. So
yeah, and at the time, you could easily get insulin
yeah,
without a prescription. And now, they're like, well, these assholes are going to do that. We might as well make some money off of it.
oh yeah. So it always goes back to thinking about their wallets when people get an idea.
Mm-hmm. Which is screwed over, which pisses me off because it's screwed over people that actively need it
Yeah.
to
Yep.
live. Like,
Yep.
motherfuckers, you have
'Cause
other
some
ways
people
you can.
can't even help it. Some people are literally born with like type 1 diabetes. I mean, it wasn't their fault. They were born that way. Like they got to have insulin. So, mm. But I guess we're almost out of time. So I guess we'll conclude this episode.
Yep, on a sour note. Don't be assholes. If you find a medical thing that somebody needs to stay alive and all it does is help you lose weight, don't be an asshole. Don't fucking actively use that and jack up the price.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
But yeah, check out all the other social media. The links are, of course, in the show notes. And if you don't have anything else to add, I think I'm done.
no, just do it. If you like it, like. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, please, and leave a comment. And if I notice your comments, at least until we get if we ever do get bigly popular, I'm going to actually try and read as many comments as I can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But on that note, thanks for listening. Bye.